というわけで、皆さん、こんばんは。人畜無害のホラー好き、鹿金ライカです。おいでくださり、ありがとうございます。というわけで、まず待機いただいていた方々のお名前呼びをさせて、いただきますね。小松かしおんさん、はぎちーさん、よもしゅうさん、あきょとらさん、やいさん、らもにさん、つばすさん、りえるさん、クララニアさん、しおさん、待機ありがとうございます。そして、こんばんは、こんらいかなどを、小松かしおんさん、岡林さん、もにさん、ポポノタさん、クララニアさん、小石清さん、きないさん、つばすさん、失礼しました。コスケイさん、はぎじいさん、小寺さん、あゆるたいがさん、さるとびさん、さるとびあかねさん、しのさん、ありがとうございます。今夜も可愛らしいですね。ありがとうございます。トラクションさんも来ないか。ありがとうございます。というわけで、キムシンさんも来ないか。ありがとうございます。というわけで、スレイザープリンセス。プリンセスを倒せがなんか、日本語的には正式名称っぽいですね。なんか、プリンセスを殺せっていうタイトルにしたかったんですけども、YouTube 君に怒られるので、始末するっていう風に、自分の中では解釈して書いておきました。そして、たくきさん、こんないか。ありがとうございます。すいません、どうも今日なんか口が乾くな。すごく。なんだこれ。なんか、お口の状況があんまりよろしくない。一応すいません。少々お待ちください。生きたかを沈めるお薬を飲んでおきます。ビールさん、来ないかありがとうございます。配信配信ポストありがとうございます。教えてください。ありがとうございます。失礼しました。ありがとうございます。教えてください。ホラーだったんだ。ホラーらしいですよ。一応。こんちゃんさん来ないかありがとうございます。そして、暗がりにどんな恐ろしいものが待ち構えていても、心を強く持って最後までやり遂げてください。早すぎる結末や間違った決断はありません。新しい視点と新たな始まりがあるだけです。これはラブストーリーです。いいですね。コントローラー対応してるらしいので、せっかくだからコントローラーでしょ。音量大きすぎるとかありませんかね？もしありましたら教えていただけると幸いです。というわけで、この囚われの、姫を殺すゲームなんですけれども、なぜそうしなければいけないのか、ポスありですが、こちらこそ教えていただきありがとうございます。本当にね。なぜ殺さなきゃいけないのか、やっていけばわかるでしょう。というわけで、ニューゲーム。ナレーター。君は彼女を倒すためにここにいる。そうしなければ世界は死へ向かえるだろう。世界は死へ向かえる？一体何の話だ？彼女が世界を争いの閉じ込められてるせいだとは思わないか？プリンセスを殺すのは何だか悪いことに思えないが、 誰か大学がいないか？こんなのごめんね。僕やりたくない。もし僕が世界が終わっても構わないと考えたら、この使命を果たしたら何かしらの報酬があるのか？なるほど。何をするか教えてくれてありがとう。やったぜ。大男殺しってやつ。一度やってみたかったんだ。これぞ革命だ。黙って声に向かう。秘密を返して立ち去る。そうですね。素直に一番上。
I'm talking about the end of everything as we know it. No more birds, no more trees, and perhaps most problematically of all, no more people. You have to put an end to her.
やっぱりちょっと文章が出るので、右下にいても若干、かぶっちゃいますね。選択肢もそうですね。めちゃくちゃ多くてびっくりしましたね。あ、闇狩りはるさん、これか。ありがとうございます。姫を殺せと言われてやってきました。どっちがいいかな。ちょっとちっちゃくなるんですけども、ごめんなさいね。あ、僕さんもこれか。ありがとうございます。というわけで、すべてのものが終わる。鳥も木も消滅するし、人間もいなくなる。感情を止めなければならない。全部聞くタイプこれ。地下室に閉じ込められたプリンセスがどうやって世界を終わらせるって言うんだ？
Don't linger on the specifics. You have a job to do here. Just get in there and do what needs to be done. We're all counting on you.
結構ナレーターさん高圧的ですね。細かいことにこだわるな。君には大事な使命があるんだ。中に入ってやるべきことを終わらせろ。みんな君を頼りにしているんだ。それを付けに証拠あるのか？
Look, you're already on the path that leads to the cabin. Why would you be here if it weren't to complete a very important task? You've made it this far, you might as well reach the end of your journey.
いいか、君はすでに小屋に向かう小道にいる。それはとてつもなく重要な使命を、遂行するためだ。どうだろう？ここまで来たんだ。君なら最後までやり遂げることができる。彼女が世界を終わらせるのは閉じ込められているせい。はい。だと思わないか？
While I appreciate the mental exercise, we are running up against a bit of a ticking clock.
頭の体操は嫌いじゃないが、我々に残された時間はわずかだ。
Nevertheless, let me assure you, the princess is locked up because she's dangerous.
黒金ご
She
さ
is
ん、
not
これだけありがとう
dangerous
ございます。
because she's locked up.
これだけは言っておこう。プリンセスは危険だから閉じ込められている。閉じ込められたせいで危険になったわけではない。
And before you decide to waste even more of our time by asking how I know that, let me suggest a more pragmatic lens through which to view this situation.
なんでそうなったか聞かないでくれ。時間が無駄だと。割り切ってやれと。
Causality doesn't matter here, because the end result is the same no matter what led us up to this point. If the princess leaves the cabin, the world will end, and there is no changing that.
重要なのはとにかく、プリンセスが小屋を出たら死を迎える。だから始末しろって話なんですね。話だけ聞くとなんかプリンセスというだけの
So arguing semantics over a metaphorical chicken or egg because the egg is hatched and it's about to ruin everything.
プリンセスというよりも完全に魔王ですよね。ガルドレックさん、こんなかありがとうございます。一回小屋から出して襲撃するか確かめてみよう。ありですね。卵は先か、鶏が先か卵は先かという例え話をしても意味はない。すでに卵は羽化しており、今にも全てを破壊しようとしているのから。
Unless, of course, you do your job and slay her.
もちろん君が使命を果たして彼女を倒さない限りは、だが。まだまだ、こういうの選びますね。 殺すにはなんだか悪いことのように思えるんだが。
Does it? Are you a monarchist? Is slaying a princess that much worse than slaying a fisherman or a miller or a seamstress? If anything, slaying a princess is much better than slaying a seamstress. Seamstresses contribute something of value to society.
君は王族派なのか。プリンセスを倒すことは漁師や米や仕立て屋を倒すより悪いことだというのか。もしそうであればプリンセスを倒すことは仕立て屋を倒すよりもずっとマシなことだぞ。なぜなら、社会の役に立っているのから。
Yes, but you'll have to slay her before you get
報酬はある。はい。
It's a secret, but I think
報
you'll
酬に
like
ついて。
it. It's a special reward, just for you. And whatever you think it might be, I can promise you it's going to be even better than your wildest imagination.
これはないパターンですね。見ての楽しみ、きっと気に入るの読むためだけに用意された特別な報酬。それが何なのか、どれだけ想像してもそれをはるかに超えるほどの素晴らしいもの。こうしよう。僕は、これが現実的でありますね。小屋へ行って彼女と話してみる。その上で彼女があんたの言う通り悪人だったらおそらく倒す道を選ぶだろう。だから彼女に直接会ってみない限り何も約束したくない。
Then I guess we'll just have to see what happens. But a word of warning. If you go in prepared to hear her out, she could easily trap you in her web of lies. And the more you listen to her honeyed words, the harder it'll be to pull yourself out.
まあ、なんか報酬はないパターンですよね。丸ごと殺されるパターン。そういうことの様子を見るしかなさそうだ。だが一つ忠告しておく。彼女の話を最後まで聞くのはよせ。あれに巡らされた嘘にたやすく取り込まれてしまうだろう。だが君の魔術に耳を傾けるほど、どんどん深みにはまってしまうんだ。クイズはこれか。ありがとうございます。まだヒムさんはバラしてないです。小屋にも行ってないです。
Then each and every one of us is doomed. So sure, go, talk to her. See how that turns out for all of us.
彼女と話してみるよりさ、それがどんな結果をもたらすか見てるのが楽しみだな。あ、進んだ、とうとう。
You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within.
短い小道を巡り、小屋へと進む。小屋の中にはプリンセスがいる。
We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them.
勇者の声。僕たちそんなことしないよね。彼女はプリンセスだ。僕たちはプリンセスを救うべきだ。倒すのは間違っている。
Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
耳を貸すな。彼は何も分かっちゃいないんだ。なんか、右に、選択肢か。急になんか右目奪われたかと思った。
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust.
確かに、
The
闇バ
only
イトですね。
furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade.
小屋の中はガランとしていた。空気はじっとりとカビ臭く、床と壁はうっすらとここに覆われている。家具といえば無骨なテーブルがあるだけ、その上にはピカピカの刃物が置かれていた。
The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
その刃物は君の武器だ。正しい行いをするにはそれが必要になるだろう。刃物を持っていく。
You take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it.
テーブルの上から刃物を拾う。それがないとプリンセスを倒して世界を救うのは難しいだろう。BGM 君が止まりましたね。
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor.
確かに置き方危なかったですね。しかし、のドアがきしみながら開いた。彼では見えないが、 何かの部屋に明かりがあるのだろう。この間に照らされた階段が見える。ここは息が詰まる。肌に湿ってまとわりつくような重たい空気。古木から漂うかすかな哀愁。プリンセスが本当にここに住んでいるなら、直してやった方が彼女のためだろう。
Her voice carries up the stairs.
彼女の声が階段の下から響いてくる。
Who's there?
ここにいるのは誰？
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here.
Don't let it fool you.
おう。
It's all part of the manipulation.
ここは、このまま階段を降ります。
Good. You're still listening to reason.
あ、意外と成田三文章を
You
飛んで
walk
くる
down。the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world?
Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something?
あ、竹村さん、これありがとうございます。意外と勇者ナレーターの声、トークとか、あと姫のトークが進んじゃいますね。すいませんが、頑張って。飛んじゃった時は、飛ばなかった時は、頑張って読むんですけども、飛んじゃった時は、皆さん頑張ってついてきて。まずは、まだ決めてな
How
い。
about you drop the knife and the two of us just talk?
Look how reasonable she's being. We should just drop the blade and talk things out. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really is a monster. But killing someone in cold blood isn't very becoming of us.
勇者甘いですね。話した後でもどうするか決めればいい。もしかしたら本当に怪物かもしれない。でも冷酷に誰かを殺すなんて僕たちらしくない。でもナイフは握りしめます。
You ignore the trembling in your hands and tighten your grip on the blade.
プリンセスがなんかちょっ
You
と
poor
不安そうになってます
thing.
ね。
Your hands are shaking. Are you scared of me? Because you should be.
You step forward, your grip on the blade tightening as you steel your resolve.
I'm probably chained up in this basement for a reason, right? And if that knife is the only weapon you have, you'll have to get close enough to use it. So, you should just drop it. Best not to risk finding out what I can do.
She's unarmed. If you hesitate now, it'll be too late. End this.
なんか姫は全然なんか勝つ気満々の
You go into this expecting to die. You're going to die.
難しいこと言いますね。
Hesitating?
なんていうの？
Why don't you drop the knife and the two of us can be civilized with each other?
刃物は手放
Then
さな
I'm
い。
not talking to you.
なら離さない。じゃあもう倒す。
You charge the princess, blade trembling in your hand, but you've already lost the battle. She casually sidesteps your thrust before knocking you to the ground with a single blow.
プリンセ
from
ス
her
強かった。
We shouldn't have hesitated.
But she doesn't stop there. She kicks you a few times for good measure, the pointed tip of her shoes feeling like a pickaxe against your fracturing bones, making sure you stay down. As you lie, crushed and broken on the basement floor, the princess kneels on your throat with the kind of weight you didn't think her slight frame could possibly possess. As you gasp for air, she eyes you with an intense curiosity. You shouldn't have let that fear creep into your heart. You had the upper hand, and now look at you.
Is this really the best you could do? Look at you. Completely broken. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little disappointed.
She applies more pressure, slowly squeezing what's left of your life out of your lungs. This is the end, isn't it? I'm afraid it is.
ナチュラル強かったですね。
Everything goes dark, and you die.
チャプター2。あら、死んだと思ったら、続きが。
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin.
あと、
And in the basement of that
自
cabin
称勇者くんの
is
手
a
が、
princess.
なんか、
You're here to slay her.
いわゆる人間というよりも我
It
々、
will be the end of the world.
なんか獣人とかそういった形の手に見えたような。繰り返している。ひどい既視感を感じる。
A terrible sense of deja vu. No, you don't have that. This is the first time either of us have been here. If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way. You know I can hear you, right? It's going to be a lot harder than you think to keep secrets from me. What does it matter what he knows? There's nothing we can do to stop her. She's just going to kill us again. She is not going to kill you unless you let her. But slaying the princess and saving the world is going to be much more difficult than it has to be if you spend the whole time second-guessing yourself. It hasn't.
同じことなんて起こっていない。
I certainly haven't been a part of it. We've just met for the first time, you and I.
タイムリープしてないってことですね。僕が真実を話していて、この全てがすでに実際に起こったことと仮定しよう。なぜあんたの話を聞かないといけない？なぜ僕がわざわざ何かをしないといけないんだ？
Those are two very different questions, but fine, I'll indulge you if that's what it takes to get you moving. Let's say for a moment that this really is the second time you've met me, or at least a version of me. You died last time, which probably only happened because you didn't listen to me. Of course we died. We couldn't land a single blow on her, and she broke every bone in our body to let us die. What were we supposed to do to stop her then? What are we supposed to do to stop her now? It's pointless. She's just a princess. Slaying her shouldn't have been difficult, but congratulations. You've been given another chance to actually do this right. And I believe your other question was something along the lines of, oh, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. The princess killed us and now everyone's right back where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself, or were you instead transported to a different world entirely? If it's the latter, what do you think happened after you died? Do you think the people there lived happily ever after? Or do you think that the princess, left unhindered, brought about the end to everyone and everything just like I told you she would? If she ended the entire world, why should we even bother? We might as well just walk up to that cabin, break her chains and let her do whatever she wants. It's all the same in the end. Just because she's capable of ending the world doesn't mean you're not capable of slaying her. Both of those things can be true at the same time. So chin up. I believe in you.
複数人で、なんか、負け犬の声と勇者の声と、ナレーターがなんか喋ってるんですけども、勇者の声が時々負け犬の声になるのかどうなのか、単に複数いるのか、謎ですね。まあいいや、小屋へ向かって、今回は、姫殺害 RTA しましょうか。
And she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. We might as well just pledge ourselves to her and stop pretending we're capable of doing anything in this situation. She probably doesn't even need to try to overpower us. Can we tone down the pessimism just a smidge? I'm not being a pessimist. I'm just being realistic. You're being annoying. Just ignore their bickering, and whatever you do, don't pledge yourself to her. I cannot stress enough how absolutely catastrophic that would be for everyone, yourself included. I agree. If she's wrongfully imprisoned, then we should rescue her, but if he's telling the truth, we shouldn't just hand her the world on a silver platter. Rescue her?
ですね、負け犬は前世の記憶を持ってますね。
There isn't really a difference between
勇者はなんか
rescuing her
前
and
回の記憶を持っ
pledging
てますよ。
yourself to her. Either would be terrible. So please try to ignore both of those knuckleheads and focus on saving the world. Let's not make this harder than it has to be.
あ、オータムさん、ザックさん、ご来館ありがとうございます。
If that's what you want, I guess I don't have a say here.
今、なんか世界を破滅させる姫を殺そうとして、さっき逆に殺されちゃうんで、
The
お
interior of
お
the cabin is larger and more grandiose than its humble exterior would suggest. The only furniture of note is a massive marble altar
相
with
変わ
a
らず
pristine blade perched
刃
on its
物の置き
edge.
方が危ない。
The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. Why do we feel so small? We don't feel small. We
小さい。
are small.
鏡あ、
That's because there isn't a mirror.
鏡なん
There's
て
the
存在
altar,
しない
the。blade sitting on the altar, and the door to the basement. There's nothing else in here. There's definitely a mirror. There isn't.
Who cares if there's a mirror? We're all going to die anyway. And I'm sure that if we looked in there, we'd just see something sad and miserable looking back at us. We don't need any reminders of what we are. It would only make things worse.
For the last time, you're not going to die unless you let it happen. And luckily for you, there isn't a mirror, so no one needs to worry about confronting a grisly visage any time in the near future. Though, for what it's worth, if there were a mirror, I'm sure that you wouldn't find anything sad or miserable in it looking back at you. You probably look perfectly normal. Probably. Do you not know what we look like?
おそらく
He knows. He just doesn't have the heart to tell us.
鏡に近づく。
You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here.
あ、ジェイクルさん、こんばんは。ありがとうございます。鏡を拭いてきれいにする。
You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now.
確かになんか
We should
爬虫
count
類系
ourselves
の
lucky.
腕ですよね。
Some things are better left unseen.
あ、なくなった。刃物を持
You
ってい
take the
く。
blade from the altar. It would be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without. Maybe that's because you haven't actually been here.
ね
I hope this means you'll finally drop that ridiculous past life nonsense. You haven't died, and you certainly haven't been killed by
は
the
しご武器は
princess.
なんか、それこそなんか、重々しい扉。しかも引き戸。
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a spiral staircase. Its steps almost as deep as you are tall. The smell
階
of
段の一段一段が
incense
自分の
drifts
背
up
と同
from
じく
below. For a moment,
深い。
you almost
すごい
feel
ちっちゃいん
ease.
だ。
Huh. This is actually kind of nice.
It's still a stone basement. If the princess lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her booming voice rolls up the stairs.
Is that a guest I hear? Don't linger on the stairs. Come down and witness me.
You weren't kidding when you said it was booming. She wasn't like this last time. We need to get down there. She wants us to see her. We need to see her. Should we be worried about your sudden change in attitude? Just a few minutes ago, you were going on about how pointless everything was. Now
Yeah.
you want to go down there. It doesn't matter what that little voice says. He's not the one making the decisions. Though if his ramblings get you to the princess, they get you to the princess.
なんか、負けワンちゃんが急に態度変え始めますね。
Making your way down the spiral staircase is a time-consuming and exhausting effort, every step requiring you to clamber over one edge before dropping to the next. But soon the end comes into view, and you tumble to the bottom, entering the vast, temple-like room beyond. The princess towers
Whoa,
over, almost
you're so-
glowing in the weak starlight, her figure framed by a stained glass window. Her long hair billows around her, and a chain binds her wrist to the far wall. The chain is nothing to her. It might as well be a toy for all the good it would do. I told you it was pointless to resist her.
The little bird has returned to me. I wonder what he wants.
プリンセスは前世の記憶があるっ
He
ぽいです
brought
ね。
that knife again, even though you know it's useless. Such charming audacity. Drop it.
As if on command, the blade
え、
slips from your
握り
grasp.
しめる選んだのに
It。clatters uselessly to the floor. But we didn't drop it. We decided to grip it tighter, remember? Are you really just going to let that happen to us? I have a duty to report facts as facts, and the fact is that you dropped the blade.
Of course we dropped it. She's so much more than us. You wouldn't understand what it feels like to be in her presence.
Oh, I understand what's going on, and you'd better snap yourself out of it.
Kneel.
ひざまずけ。ひざまずけ。いや、
Oh, are you still trying to defy me? I said kneel.
Your
Oh.
legs buckle, and your knees hit the floor.
That's my good little bird. Now, why don't we talk? The last time we met, you couldn't even scratch me. And yet here you are again, trying to succeed where you've already catastrophically failed. What draws you back here beyond the empty halls of death? Speak.
The last time we met? I suppose that lends credence to our conversation in the woods. Still, whatever you do, don't tell her why you're here. It's best not to give her any ideas.
いや、理由ね。
Weak-willed
あ、
buffoon.
怒られた。怒られた
Is。that so?
The princess closes her eyes in contemplation.
Something about that thought wraps itself around my heart. It feels like a fundamental truth to my being that I'd somehow forgotten. The collapse of the old is a necessary prelude to the birth of the new, and the world as it is now is overdue for alterations. It's time for me to seize my destiny, and you, little bird, will help me seize it.
She's inevitable. There's nothing else for us to do but help her. Maybe she'll be nice to us.
負けにはすっかり負けワンちゃんのムーブやってますね。なんか、これが偽善っぽくていいですね。世界を滅亡させることになっているからといって、必ずしもそうする必要はない。なりたい自分になればいい。
This isn't about desire. This is about what I am. And I have little interest in discussing destiny with one that cannot see the divine truth that shines in my heart.
うん。何をしようしんだ？何を計画した？
All you have to do is break these chains.
あ、時計ですね。了解です。今日はじゃあ一旦消しちゃいますか。よいしょ。そんなに力のない鎖くらい自分で壊せるだろう。ですかね。おう。あ、マウスだとちょっと視点が。
Don't be rude. Of course she can. It's not rude to question someone who's apparently trying to end the world. That's exactly why it's rude. We should know our place.
I can, easily. But that isn't what I want to do. The story of a terrible and bountiful god unbounded of her own will is no story at all. It's not worthy of everything I am, or everything I'm bound to
あってんの
become.
我
It isn't even worthy of what I was. The destruction in Genesis that's to follow in my wake is deserving of a song that can echo for eternity. The song of you, being so struck by my glory, so overwhelmed by what I am,
かなり間
that
をムー
you
ブしてます
feel
ね
you must deliver me into the world. And from your act of utter devotion and submission springs a new dawn, a better dawn. Submit now, submit later. It makes no difference. Because in the end, no matter how vainly you struggle against me, my will triumphs over yours.
なるべく質問したくか何か焦るときの前に質問がある
Know the limits of your privilege, little bird.
あ
There's an empty place at my side for you to fill, if you'll have it. But it is not a place for an equal. It is a place for something worthy to be kept. A priest, perhaps, or a pet. I say, perhaps you need another lesson in submitting to your betters.
おや
Pick up that needle.
Do it. It's what she wants. No objections here. I don't know what she's planning, and I don't like that we don't know what she's planning.
ハリー
but
扱いですみん
You might
な
as well pick up the blade. As your eye falls on the blade, you feel a weight. Some divine hand that sits unperceived by your senses, but that manages to push you towards its desires like an unseen puppeteer.
もう何を選べない刃物を拾うしか選べない
Reach forward and grasp the blade.
Stand.
This one's easy. See? This isn't so bad. Okay, yeah. We can do that. We were probably going to stand anyway. You can feel a creaking tension between body and will as you slowly rise to your feet, like two foes forced into an unhappy truce. The princess eyes you with soft contemplation. The moment seems to last a lifetime, the silent anticipation of what's to come dragging out the long, painful seconds. But all silences are broken eventually.
To define me is to claim we stand on level ground. We do not. You are quiet shadow, while I am brilliant radiance. Take that knife in your hand and slit your throat.
無理やりさせられそう
You don't have to listen to her. You're armed. Just steel your nerves, step forward, and end this.
終わらせるどっちの意味かこれ
Oh, we'll end this all right. Your hand lifts the blade and
Ah,
brings
buddy.
it towards your throat. Okay, I apologize for the unclear language. End her.
プリンセスを倒
Your
す
body is sluggish and unresponsive, actively fighting against you, but you do your best to stagger forward. One step at a time, you move towards the princess.
Slitting your throat would have been a mercy, but it seems you're in need of a harsher lesson. Plunge that knife into your lungs.
I'm sorry. Don't. As you
Oh.
take another step forward, the blade digs into your ribs, slicing through flesh with ease. It somehow feels like an entirely natural thing to do, while the simple act of walking has become an arduous impossibility. Then it slides back out, the wound burning as a small hiss of air escapes through the fresh orifice. Blood fills.
窒息死でより苦しくなっちゃうよ。
Now, do it again. Keep doing it until I give you permission to stop.
Those are just words. You don't have to listen to her.
It's what she wants.
You, heroic one, what are you doing? Don't just let this happen. Stop him from killing you. I'm on it. Your other hand locks around your wrist, struggling to keep it from perforating vital organs. But the blade still flails towards you, managing to slice bits of skin that plop to the floor to join the growing pile of blood and gore beneath you. Despite the pain, you manage to keep yourself in one piece, at least for now.
What a pitiful display. A wounded little bird thinking it can defy a god. It doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to hurt so much. You can choose a gentle end. You can choose to leave that punctured vessel for the next. Or you can pathetically struggle against yourself until the floor of this temple is painted with the bloody impressions of your futility.
You continue to approach the princess, even as the repeated gouges of your blade expose bone and muscle to the open air of the basement. You know, this would be a lot easier if you gave us a hand. My influence only goes so far, and I can only juggle so many things at once. The best I can do right now is to continue to drive you forward. Believe me, this whole ordeal would be so much easier if I didn't have to contend with free will.
You're the one making things difficult. You're the one making us hurt.
なんか
She doesn't want to
この
hurt us.
操作されてい
She's
る
just doing what she has to.
人
Stop.
は勇者でも負け犬でもないみたいです
You
ね。
fall to your knees at the princess's feet, your chest heaving as your blood pools in the crevices of the stone floor, the coppery taste coating your throat. The princess kneels down, lifting your chin with her finger as her face lowers to yours.
顎食いだ。
Your devotion is misplaced. You've surrendered to delusion. But something about your defiant spirit speaks to me.
もうなんかティアラがなん
You
か
are different than you
ティア
were
ラじゃない。
before. Perhaps, if you've learned your lesson, I can spare you from the release of death.
That's a little demeaning, isn't it? Yes, how thoughtful of her.
It's a mercy. Take it.
I think he's given up whatever say he had at the start of all this. At least one of you is sane. She's within striking distance, and she's only negotiating now because she knows you have what it takes to put an end to her. Seize the moment before it's too late.
ナレーターは絶対殺すマンですね。
No.
No.
Yes. Though your body trembles, struggling to defend itself in the face of the princess's overwhelming will, you finally
あ、
manage
ジェインさん、
to
こんばんは。ありがとう
dart
ござい
into
ま
her
す。そして
side before she can
え
react.
メンバーシップチャットの。お
The wind of your freedom rushes through you, and you channel it into a decisive blow, stabbing into the soft flesh of her ankle and severing the tendons in an act of unyielding defiance.
結構がっつりいきましたね。
She falls to the floor, crashing unceremoniously to her knees. But you don't give her any time to recover. Your heart pounding with determination, you plunge your blade into her chest. As you find your target again and again, she laughs, crude emotion breaking through her once stony composure as your blade cuts her flesh. We can do this, can't we?
笑っと
You
る。
always could. The decision to give you this task was not made lightly. You're here for a reason.
It's not too late to pick up the pieces. It's not too late to toss that blade aside and beg for forgiveness.
Shut up.
I can't believe you would actually strike me. You
heathen! You worm! You defiler! You don't know the consequences of your arrogance!
Before you can strike the final
Ah.
blow, the princess lashes out, knocking you off your feet. There's an unsettling red pop as your
Very
spine
good.
breaks, numbness and pain spreading through your body. As you rebound towards the ceiling in a moment of disorientated lightness, she drives her fist into your chest. Your body is crushed as she pulverizes you into the floor, the ground itself breaking from the impact.
叩きつけられて
You lie
床が
there, broken,
崩壊する。
beyond pain, unable to even see what she's done to you. But the princess is succumbing to her own wounds as well. She looks down upon her body in abject horror and disgust.
You made me use my hands. I can feel myself twisting into something new, something dull, something defiled. What have you done to me?
You're monsters and conspirators. I can't bear to watch this. The princess has been nothing but cruel to you. You should feel liberated by her fall.
But I don't feel liberated. I feel empty.
Aside from the pain, I feel fine. She collapses to the floor. Her glassy eyes watch, unblinking, yet somehow still full of anguish and
神
fear.
殺しがアンロック
As
され
the
ました
two。of you perish together. I suppose we were never gonna get a happy ending here, were we? Don't let those be your final thoughts. You saved the world. That's worth something. I guess. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's finally over. Thank you. Everything goes dark, and you die.
第3幕奮撃の乙女
We're on a path in the woods, and at the end of the path... Okay, what the hell is that? I think he's upset.
肉々しくなっている。
What's he got to be upset about? We just killed a god.
そして一人増えてる。
Exactly. You heathens destroyed the most beautiful thing that ever was, and ever will be. Can't say I have much sympathy for you. She was bad for us, and you almost got us killed. You're being too generous. He did get us killed. All right, enough chatter. Got a thing I'm supposed to do, and if you don't mind, I'd like to do it without any more interruptions. Okay, great, you're listening. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a... If your thing is telling us about the princess, don't waste your breath. We know all about her. It's hardly a path in the woods at this point, is it? Look, if the world around you is changing, especially all the way out here, then that means you're nearing the point of no return. Whatever happens next,
やり直しはないと
there
思う
won't。be any more do-overs, so you'd better take things seriously.
なんだか100名の意見に振り回されている気がする。何かを選択するときは頼むから僕の言うことを聞いてくれ。
So what if I'm speaking my mind? It's not like I've ever really gotten a say in things.
What a crock of shit. Yeah, you stabbed us last time, repeatedly. It didn't even work. It doesn't count. We died. If you didn't
We
submit to
died.
her, for all we know, that wouldn't have
ウィ
happened.
ーですからやっぱり
It's the punishment you all deserved for not listening to me.
多重人格。
Aside from our sulking friend, I don't think we have much to worry about. You're still the one in charge here, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
多重人格というよりなん
Second
か
he tries something, I'll put a stop to it.
複数の魂がなんか宿ってるって感じですね。
Then what happens? Have you even been listening? It's the end is what happens. Yeah, but is there something after the end? How am I supposed to know? The end means finality. It's not like I can just peek on over to the other side and tell you what it's like there, if there even is a there. It doesn't matter because we're going to win. Now that's exactly the sort of mindset I like to see. Don't let yourself be consumed with self-doubt. Don't flirt with oblivion. Just focus on the present and everything will be absolutely fine.
これから何が起きるかわからないが、すべての答えは小屋にあるだ。最後まで見届けるしかないような。
Good.
ぐっ
We're
ちゃ
all on
ぐ
the same page.
ぐちょぐちょしてる
Isn't
足音
long
が。
before you find yourself at the end of the path, staring up at the cabin on the hill. You'll find the princess within, as I'm sure you already know. End her. That's it? No final words of advice? rather not waste any more time. I'm sure that any advice I'd give at this point is something you've already heard.
ナレーターもですよ、なんか
Access to the cabin,
経験者した。
maybe we can salvage things. Maybe if we just grovel and apologize, things can go back to how they were before.
Oh, cut it out, will you? We need to be tough right now, and you're making it so much harder than it has to be, so stop.
次どうしようかな。殺すのか、それとも許しを
The interior
Oh,
of the cabin is a
Demir
place that feels long forgotten. There was once an elegance to its construction, carved marble columns holding a high
全部外見と中身が違う部屋ですね。
letting in the weak starlight. But that is how it was. Now there is a growth that has overtaken it. A viscous fluid seeps from cracks in the stone walls, and it congeals into chaotic streaks of writhing nerves and wet clumps of living meat. That's horrible. You did this. The only furniture of note is a pulsating
脈打つ
pedestal,
台座。
a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
バーターの鏡か。
There is no mirror. We've done this already. Try to keep up. The repetition is maddening. I don't know what to tell you. There isn't a mirror because I would know if there was a mirror. You're either seeing things or you're confused on the definitions of door and mirror. Or you're seeing things. That seems far more likely. What are you trying to say exactly?
He thinks we've lost it. That we're succumbing to madness, that something in us has
Oh.
broken.
That's an unnecessarily melodramatic way to describe a hallucination, but sure. I'm not going to waste time arguing with any of you. It went away after we touched it last time. Let's just do it again.
そうですね。ほぼラストですね。鏡に近づく。
You step forward and approach the door to the basement, hesitating before you open it. As if you don't see it. You really don't, do you? How strange. It really is just like last time. Are we really hallucinating? Why here? Why now?
Smash it. Smash it to pieces. It's the only thing keeping us from her.
Don't you want to know what we'll see in there? We won't be able to see anything if we smash it. Nah, I'm with him on this one. Smash it.
Let's
get violent already. Do whatever you want with it. The mirror isn't real, so how you handle it doesn't matter, aside from wasting dangerous amounts of time.
一旦きれいに
Reach
する。
forward and drag your hand across the
Alright.
door leading to the basement. As if on command, it slowly slides open, scraping against the stone floor, its ancient hinges moaning as it reveals the dim path ahead. Why am I not surprised? You step
始まった。
forward into the darkness. The stairs leading down to the basement
こうなると思ったよ。ああ。あ、ちょっと飛ばしたの
The
で。
air is thick.
ああ、
Its
待って待っ
odor-
て。地下施設通階段は狭いながらも壮大な雰囲気だ。高いアーチ型の天井は視覚が届かないほどに暗がりを突き抜けていた。両側の壁から湿った腫瘍のような何かが増殖し、空間を圧迫している。まるで無防備のまま閉じ込めたようなむき出しにされているのに窮屈な感覚が取れた。
Her voice, a bellowing rage, roars up the stairs.
Was severing the tendons of my ascension not enough for you? Was it not enough to rend my divine heart? Come, see the horrors you've wrought upon my flesh, and feel my hands set upon your throat.
ぶち切れですね。
See how you've soured my once divine melody.
あと怪我治せてないのかな。
Angry with us. Why? Why did you desecrate her? Why couldn't I stop you?
You've got to stop thinking about her like that. It isn't doing anyone any good. She's not some untouchable god. She's an abomination. And we're going to put an end to her once and for all.
Whatever she is now is our fault. If she's an abomination, then what does that make us?
She was going to end the world last time. If I might interject, you didn't make her into an abomination. She's always been what she is. It's why you're here. And it's why your task is so important.
階段を降ります。
You make your way to the bottom of the stairs.
どうなってるかな。
The chamber's walls are painted in blood, a deep, sickening red that drips down in clotted streams onto the charred corpses that make up its floor. This place reeks of torment, of ripped skin and burning bone. The princess stands in its center, muscles flayed and bare and weeping, draped in a tattered dress of her own skin. Her heart beats from its place in her open chest.
Do you know what I'm going to do to you?
There's not so much a moment of hesitation before she steps forward. Her chains pull taut, holding fast as she strains against them. The cuff around her wrist digs deeper into her skin. Blood drips from the place where metal meets flesh. And then, with a nauseating sound, the skin tears. It plops to the ground, and she pulls her red, glistening arm free from her bindings. She is loose, and she is coming for you.
ずるって言った。
End it. It's the punishment you all deserve for what you did to her. It's the punishment I deserve for letting it happen.
Screw that. We can win. We've done it before and we'll do it again. Only this
今
time
回ちょっと
we'll take it out
ナイ
the
フをね
other
持ってこれなかったんですよ。
Hell, she's practically done most of the work for us. We don't even have a weapon. It doesn't matter. I refuse to go out any way that isn't kicking and screaming.
何も言わずに反撃しよう。
Still unarmed,
でかい。
charged towards the princess. It's now or never. Let's make it a beautiful blaze of... With a horrifying squelch, you are unwound.
秒殺でした。
No, that's our stuff. She can't just do that. She just did. Unfortunate, I know, but
小鳥ちゃんって言われたんですけど、本当に羽が舞ってますね。
We should all just be grateful she's decided to keep us alive. Even in her defilement, she is merciful.
We're not out for the count just yet. But we didn't even bring a weapon.
Yes, because we knew it was over.
No weapon this time? It's almost as if you were planning on dying here. As if I'd grant you such a mercy. No, we're going to make this last forever. Let's see how deep we need to dig to find the defiant little spark of your soul. This will hurt you.
Something infiltrates you. Though you do not see it, you feel it, slithering into your disaster of a body, seeping into the gaps between your molecules.
あ、でも忘れてた。これラブストーリーだから。
On average, 30 trillion cells. And each one of those cells
翻訳するとずっと一緒にいようねってことだ。
some odd atoms. One of those cells is peeled from the others. 100 trillion atoms are gone.
Are you still there? Are you still you?
Yes, I think. Then 2 are peeled away. Then 4. This is nothing. Nothing. 8, 16, 32, 64.
Whatever is happening to us, it's happening faster.
128. 256.
どんどん2倍になってくよ。
512.
Are you still there? Are you still you?
1024, 2048, 4096, 8192.
I feel small, smaller than before.
16,384, 32,768, 65,536. You can't just count us into oblivion. 131,072. 262,000.
数が加速していく。
524,288. What happens when it gets higher? Like, really higher? Nothing. just like nothing's happening now.
But something is happening now. Something in us is liquefying. Something that started small but that keeps getting bigger.
1,048,000. The hundreds don't matter anymore.
Are you still there? Are you still you?
2,096,000. 4,192,000. 8,384,000.
I don't like this waiting for something to happen. But it's taking so long.
16,768,000.
ふにゃっちゃ
33,536,000. 67,072,000. Your eyes are useless. 134 million. The thousands don't matter anymore. Your blood begins to go places it shouldn't.
Are you still there? Are you still you?
There's the pain. I can feel it now. But we can handle this. We can't let her win.
We can't handle anything. We're at her mercy.
268 million. We don't need to count anymore. Your lungs fill with liquid. You smell things you shouldn't. You choke on pieces of what used to be you. Doesn't matter, because we're still alive. You are deconstructed. You are reconstructed. A square you, a round you, a you with too many legs, a you with many mouths which won't stop screaming. Then all of it pressed into a ball, tightly packed into the size of a fist.
食って遊ばされて
Doesn't
る
even mean anymore. We just keep changing into horrible things we can't control. Make it stop, please. Make it stop. Please make it stop. You means we exist. There has to still be a way for us to win. Otherwise this would be pointless, and all this torture would be for nothing.
You're right about one thing. It is torture. But it isn't pointless. The whole point is that it's torture.
Are you still there? Are you still you?
ド S ですね姫も
Yes.
うんイエーイ
The ball is unraveled into the shape of a body. The skin peels off in a corkscrew. The eyes are plucked. The organs arranged in
すごい
the
ほどけて体がほどけている
Are you still there? Are you still you?
Are you still there?
No.
Are you still you?
Yes. You are stretched into a line 12 feet long, then 24, then 48. The line gets thinner as you
ヤードポンド本
a mile.
ヤーボン法じゃない
4, 8.
いいことだ
Are you still there? Are you still you?
Yes. 16, 32,
頑固者もだんだん
64.
ほだされていってますね
And then, all at once, there is a great rewinding, and all of the disparate threads that once were you fall dutifully back into place. You are whole again, and in your body,
元通り
the
になった
same body
え
you arrived in. The princess stands before you, her dress of skin more tattered than before,
なん
her
か
face
近くにソーセージがいっぱいある
It's all hollow. I ripped you to pieces. I broke your will. But it means nothing. I am forever a piece unfinished. A song with no refrain.
あ何も選択ができない何も言うことはない
We're so different. How could I ever hope for you to understand me?
She stands, arms outstretched, neck craned, gaze transfixed on something unseen above you both.
But perhaps there is a way to grant you understanding. Perhaps there is a way to make myself whole once more.
you are unwound again. But it's different this time. Nothing slithers into your cells. You can feel something changing inside of you. But you see her changing too. Threads.
一緒になろうってこと？
Becoming pieces of something new. Something that's both you and her. Oh no, absolutely not. You have to stop this. Do you hear me?
やっぱ一緒になっている。ラブストーリーだ、これは。だが、もうすでにもう止められる段階ではなく、あなたの意識が彼女の、
Yes. See me as I have had to see you.
あなたみたいな急すぎてそび立つ心臓を見慣れているが遠く感じるもの。
No, this isn't right. I feel cold.
二人の間で結ばれて始めた。ちょっと。二人の間で結ばれ始めたつながりが切断された。二人の結びつきが中断された。何者かが彼女を連れ去り、代わりに別の何かを残していった。ちょっとオートプレイ切っちゃおうかな。時々早いわ。近づくうちにしんと静まり返った。自分の姿を見つめる。前に進むと辺りは静かになった。彼らはいなくなった。だが鏡はまだそこにある。そこに何が映っているかを見ると気が来た。あなただ。君は一人、何もない場所にいる。ここは静かだ。小屋へ向かう。外に出たの？君は小屋にいる。のちょに近づく。
Something finds me in the long quiet and brings me the gift of a fragile vessel.
えらいことになってますね。いっぱい聞けるけどなんか途中で終わりそうだな。まずは君は何者なんだ？
I am solitary lights in an empty city. What are you?
全部なんか落ち着きましたね。孤独な明かり？まあ、聞かれたからには僕は人だ。
A person.
あいつの
A
視点しか持
set
ちない。
of eyes witnessing from one perspective. I think that you are more like me than you are like a person.
やっぱ主人公も化け物だってこと？よかった、一緒じゃん。
We are oceans, reduced to shallow creeks.
側に分けられてしまった海。まあ、一緒っていうこと。世界は終わったのか。
How can the world have ended if we are talking? I'm sorry. There are some changes that can never be undone. There are some tears that can never be unshed. This is not a place that can hold a fragment of a concept. The moment she arrived here, she was going to return to me.
なかなか難しい話になってきましたね。
I promise that it doesn't hurt.
レーターを知っているか？
You are the only thing I have ever known.
あなたは
The space we're in is vacant. Nothing comes here but us.
悪い器の贈り物？
Nerves and fibers to feel the worlds beyond. Perspectives to make my own. This one is desecration. She placed the weight of her agony on you, yet it is she who unwound herself. There is passion and empathy buried under her unfeeling skin.
概念的になんかなかなか難しい話だったね。
Do not mourn her. She has finally found peace.
死にはしたんだ。
I have only just now stirred to consciousness. I could not have trapped you here, and I too yearn to be free.
君はプリンセス。
She is part of me, and part of me is her. You speak in circles. Does it matter where one thing begins and another ends?
一部がプリンセスでもあり、プリンセスの一部がこいつでもあったという。
I know only that they are. You are familiar, but you are not me. I feel sadness, longing, hope as I witness you.
これから何が起きる？
Nothing, as we are. But I know that there are worlds beyond us, and that we are meant to reach them. There is no exit, but this vessel is a creature of perception. She can make you forget, if only you believe her to be able to. Bring me more perspectives, so that I may be whole, and perhaps then we will know our freedom.
僕は、世界を破滅させようとするプリンセスを倒すために送り込まれた。君が協力したら、君はそれを実行するのか？
You ask of things that cannot be done. To
無理だと。
destroy is merely to reshape, to remold.
謎々のようだ。僕の協力って何をするつもりなんだ？
How can I know? I am flickers in something sprawling and unilluminated.
そのうち僕に殺されるかもしれないぞ。怖くはないのか？
I have not lived. I am not afraid to die.
僕はどのくらい記憶をなくすんだ？
Everything. Until we meet again.
あといくつ君の座を見つけなきゃいけないの？
More than you have found, but less than there are to find. I am infinite. The rest will find their own way home. Then we will be here forever, as we are now. Unfinished, dry, hollow.
僕はもうあそこへ帰らない。
If you need time, then I'll wait with you.
永遠に待つ。
You are as I am now, and forever is a long time to remain undone. I am not you, but I know that I would return before forever was finished. What textures will you weave for yourself to occupy forever? Will you place the images of you and I into a box for safekeeping? If you close that box, will you become another you in another world? An imaginary pattern repeating itself until it can no longer bear the weight of its hand-drawn cage. You'll always come back to the box, because you'll always want to know what it means to be you. I will be here waiting by your side until you're ready to return to mine.
あ、撃つ。ゲームがクラッシュしたのか、わざと終わったのか、謎ですが、止まりました。永遠に待つって言ったせいな気もしますね。ちょっと起動を待つ間、お手洗いって。おう。こういうパターンか。でもトイレできます。 プリンセスもちょっと悪いけど、それから正面やってくんで、待っててくれよな。セリス、行ってきます。すいません、戻りました。施設解除して、水分消して、よし、話し合おうじゃないか。でも選択肢がもう一つしかない。わかった、記憶を消してくれ。
She asks that I tell you to remember her. You won't.
チャプター1、勇者とプリンセス。Hero and the Princess.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin.
本当のスレイザ・プリンセスではここからだが解除されました。
You're here to slay her.
おかえりなさい、ありがとうございますね。
It will be the end of the world.
Seriously? を返して立ち去ってみましょうか。
Seriously? You're just going to turn around and leave?
嘘をつく。いや。何も言わず、こうやって逆方向に進む。
Fine. I suppose you just quietly continue down the path away from the cabin. Good. What we're being asked to do here is wrong. Better to wash our hands of this whole situation than to take part in it. Ignore that annoying little voice. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's strange. It looks like this path also leads to the cabin.
若干そんな気はしたけど。
Everything's back on track again. Maybe the world can still be saved after all.
今度はちょっとラブラブルート行ってきましょうか。
Great to hear. As long as you bring that fiery attitude to princess slaying, I think this will all resolve splendidly. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. Fortunately, she's only a princess, whereas you are a valiant and talented warrior. It'll be easy, so long as you stay focused. We can't just go through with this and listen to him. She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not
なんか
slay them.
一周目から勇者の声が自我を持っている。すごい。プリンセスを殺さないでおかしいよ。
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale
Come on,
and the
you're the one.
blade is your implement.
ラ室へ行く。
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly
でも読んだ
illuminated
ところに
by
飛ばし
her
ます。
voice softly carries up the stairs.
Hello? Is someone there?
あの
Hypnotizing. It's the kind of voice you only have to hear once to remember it for the rest of your life.
勇者の声一瞬目でありましたっけ？なかっ
It's
た
all
よ。
part of the
いやします
manipulation.
ね。
You're playing a dangerous game by coming here unarmed.
君
How
は
many
好きに来た
times
よ。
do I have to tell you how dangerous letting her out of here would be before it finally sinks in?
Come downstairs. I want to see the face of my rescuer.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's beautiful. How could someone like this be a threat to anyone?
I am begging you to stay focused. There's a lot riding on you here.
Hi. I can't believe you're here. I've been waiting for something like this to happen forever. I hope you brought something to deal with these chains.
Don't do it. If she gets out of those chains, we're all one step closer to the end.
鎖を調べよう。
You're only making this more difficult.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're making a huge mistake.
No, you're doing the right thing.
You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs.
Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
うん。
Okay. I'll be here. Good luck.
You attempt to
Ita
make your
ni
way
modoru.
out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock
誰かがいる。
sliding into place.
Is someone else here?
You try the door, but it's locked from the outside. Your shouts and pleas are met with silence. You're here to slay the princess, and you won't leave until the task is done.
ナレーターが閉めたんじゃないですかね、これ。
You make your way to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd just taken the blade like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone. Look at the mess you're in.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
There's a slight panic rising in the princess's voice.
If I could just get out of these chains, I know we could force our way out of here together.
She barely
Ah!
hesitates before raising her arm to her mouth, her teeth tearing through her limb with the determination of a trapped wolf.
びっくりしちゃ
As
っ
she
た。
rips her flesh from her bone, a sound comes from behind you, the clang of bouncing metal. It's the blade from upstairs. You're not sure how it made its way down here, but if there's a time to strike, it's now.
Or we could use it to free her.
You won't like what happens if you do that.
あ、プリンセスを救うしか選べない。
Fine. Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the ragged, self-inflicted wound on the princess's arm, just above the unyielding
目
chain.
目が大きすぎて怖いかもしれない。
You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp, and it takes little effort to crack through the bone of her arm. Her limb falls to the ground, and the heavy chains follow suit.
She didn't so much as utter a sound through the whole ordeal.
No, she didn't.
She smiles softly as her gaze meets yours, blood from her wounded arm dripping rhythmically to the ground. How is she still smiling after everything? It's like she isn't even bothered by what just happened.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
No,
選択肢が
we
ない。
won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. No, I can't just let her escape into the world. As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps
なんで
forward and raises
こ
the
こまで来て
blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me.
What are you doing?
あ、でも
Stop that.
Something's come over you, hasn't it? You know you don't have to do this, right?
Your body lunges forward, the blade held low, ready to sink into her heart. But the princess dodges, stumbling back against the wall before the blade has a chance to connect. Stop it. Stop trying to resist me. I'm trying to get you out of here
戦え
alive.
るなんか動きだあれ。
The blade. Move the blade. As your body remains frozen in stubborn resistance, the princess takes a cautious step forward.
We both know this isn't you.
She nervously reaches towards you and takes the blade from your infuriatingly rigid hands. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'll try to be quick.
あ、刺されるこれ。
She
あ
plunges it into your chest, tearing through flesh and sinew. It is agony. But you aren't dead yet.
Oh no. I'm so sorry.
やった。
Stay strong. We can tough it out until it's done. For her sake. For her sake? Don't you start pretending that dying a painful death is some sort of heroic gesture. The two of you have literally doomed everyone. Whatever. She sinks the blade into your chest again and again and again, and you feel every inch of burning pain that slices its way into your body.
I'm sorry.
She doesn't know how to use a knife, does she? Apparently not, though it doesn't matter how sloppy her blade work is, does it? A stab wound is still a stab wound, and it won't be long before you bleed out.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
With one last thrust of the knife, your legs give out beneath you. You collapse to the floor, your blood pooling around you, your limbs unresponsive. The princess stares down at your ruined chest as tears carve rivulets of pink down her blood-spattered cheeks. It can't just end like this, right? Oh, that's rich coming from you. As much as I prefer for things to have gone differently, I can't deny the reality of what's happened. The two of you made your choice. It's over.
It's over.
Everything goes dark, and you die.
You die. 第2幕乙女。さっき第2幕何でしたっけ？
You're on a path in the woods.
あ、来ました。
You're here
来ました。
My
私の宝み？
What on earth are you talking about? We just met for the first time. If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way.
なかなかえぐい殺され方
Yes,
しま
you
したよ
didn't
ね。
approve of us
せめ
last
て
time,
喉
did
を
we?
一思いに
If
か
we're
きって
going
ればいい
to
の
save
に。
our beloved,
騎士の
we'll
声
be sneaky about it.
Our beloved. Yes,
ま
you're
た新しい人が
Very
来た。
sneaky about your intentions if you're going to try and save the princess. Ah, so all of the cards are on the table. Then you should know that we and the princess are in love.
我ら4
The
人。
four of us will be foiling any and all assassination attempts you've got in the works.
We'll see about that. Whatever you do, just be sure to ignore him specifically. It sounds like he's the sort who'd sacrifice the whole world for a peck on the cheek.
What can I say? A world without love is a world that isn't worth saving.
うん。あ、すみません、お茶を飲んでました。僕が真実を話していて、 この全てがすでに実際起こったと仮定しよう。なぜあんたの話を聞かないといけない？なぜ僕がわざわざ何かをしないといけないんだ？
Those are two very different questions, but let's say for a moment you died last time, which you were the one who did us in, villain. Well, not you in the literal sense, but you did everything you could to stop us from rescuing her. Oh, I wonder why. Maybe it's because the entire world was at stake. No lone princess is worth that.
騎士は
I beg to differ. I'm not going to argue with
出
you.
会いの
I'm just going to take a deep
まさに
breath and assume that whoever is making the decisions here has the common sense to ignore your protestations. Anyway, I believe your second question was, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. You forced the princess to kill us, and now everyone's right back where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself? Or were you instead transported to a different world in
時
time?
間が巻き戻ったのか、全く別の世界に転送されたのか。
What do you think happened after you died? Do you think the people there lived happily ever after? Or do you think that the princess, left unhindered, brought about the end to everyone and everything just like I told you she would? She would never. She's a perfect angel that you cruelly imprisoned as part of some convoluted, dastardly scheme. Convoluted. I don't know how this premise could be any more simple. Princess bad, stop her, save everyone.
This is bad. 一応彼女を救う方法っていうなんか新しい
That's right. You
のが
can't stop all of us.
模索できますね。
We're going to sweep her off her feet if it's the
プリン
last
セスの
thing
心を奪うつもりだ。
anyone does. Are these really the sorts of people you'd like to align yourself with? You're not at the cabin yet. You still have plenty of time to reflect on the situation. I just hope for all our sakes that you make the right call. Just be quick about it. People locked her in that basement, and I told you what this place is. It's a path in the woods. Don't overcomplicate things.
前回彼女が僕を殺せた唯一の理由は僕がそれを許したからだ。彼女はナイフもろくに握れなかった。その彼女がどうやって世界を終わらせるというんだ。
She just can. Believe me, I wish I could tell you more, but you'll just have to trust that what I'm saying is true, and that, despite it all, you're fully up to the task that's been given to you.
Maybe it's her beauty that threatens the world.
Sure, it's her beauty. Why not? And before you ask, no, we can't just keep her down there. If you don't slay her, she's going to find a way out. It's unfortunate, I know, but it's just the way it is.
そう、それはそう。
I'm not supposed to say this.
閉じ込めたならなんで倒さなかったの？
Because you're special. You're the only person capable of doing this. Call it a prophecy, if that helps. But it's just the way things are. Oh, I didn't know we were special. Of course you're special. Why else would you be here? Calling us special isn't going to make us friends, even if it did feel nice. Oh, believe me, the last thing I want is for you and I to be friends. But I'm a professional, and I'm not going to let my dislike for you get in the way of helping you save the world.
あんた隠し事が多いな。他に何か話していないことは？
I've told you everything you need to know. Going into more detail would just overcomplicate an otherwise very simple situation and make your job more difficult. Not to sound like a broken record, but the less you know about her, the better things will go for all of us. I know it sounds like I'm hiding something, but you're just going to have to take me at my word.
以上だ。
Great. Now, if you don't mind, the whole world is waiting with bated breath for you to save it from ruin.
じゃあ小屋へ向かって。
A warning before you go any further. She will lie.
なんかすでにちょっと豪華になってますね。
She will do everything in her power to stop.
これは聞いた。
Already told you we're not playing along with your little game. It's your lies that can't be trusted. Her beauty is the only thing in the world we can't believe in.
I think we've already been over this. I'm pretty sure he just likes the sound of his own voice.
I do, but I also speak from the heart. My passions are too great to be stifled. They must be expressed.
Sure, yeah, your passions are strong and all, but not everyone needs to hear them. Some things are better kept quiet. Don't pay their bickering any mind. Focus on the task ahead.
はい。
The interior of the cabin is
ま
clean
た鏡
and
がある。
elegant, its stone walls draped in fine-threaded tapestries, a prison befitting a royal prisoner. The only furniture of note is an ornate wooden
前
table
回の
with a
2周目
pristine blade perched on its
こんな感じ
edge.
でしたっけ？タペストリーとかありましたっ
Blade is
け？
your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
鏡に近づく。
Walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. What are you talking about? This isn't a wall. It's a mirror.
Or at least it'll be a mirror once we wipe off that layer of grime.
You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now.
鏡道なくなっ
There
ちゃっ
was
た
a。mirror a second ago.
And now it's gone.
あ、確かに背も低
Could
くなっ
have
て
a
ない
feather out of place,
かも
and
しれ
now
な
we'll
い。
never know. We can't gallantly sweep her off her feet if we have a feather out of place.
Very different.
Is it? I can't say I was paying much attention to the scenery last time around.
Maybe that's because you haven't actually been here. I hope this means you'll finally drop that ridiculous past life nonsense. You haven't died, and you certainly haven't been killed by the princess.
どうされてんやん。
So focus up. Stop letting yourself get distracted.
刃物は持たず地下室行っちゃいます。なんか右手があのままだったらやだな。
Revealing an intricate stairwell.
豪華になってる。
Gold-trimmed carpet glimmers in the light of the torches positioned along the walls. The basement almost seems welcoming in the dim firelight. But it's still a stone basement. If the princess lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. A soft voice carries up the stairs.
Hello? Is someone there?
Her voice. It's somehow even more beautiful than last time. I can hear wedding bells already.
I've held my tongue till now, but you're taking this a little too far. We barely even know the princess. We can still do right by her without all this over-the-top fawning. Yes, for everyone's sake, you're not in love. Just remember that her charms are all part of the manipulation. You walk down the
あ、
stairs
なんか
and lock eyes
より
with
プ
the
リンセスって
princess.
感じになってる。
There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall.
My love, we're here to rescue you from your unjust and foul imprisonment.
You know she can't hear you, right?
She may not be able to hear my words, but surely she can hear my spirit.
Oh, your spirit's plenty loud, all right.
It's you, my dashing hero. I was so worried you wouldn't come back.
Did you hear that? She said we're dashing.
And she called us a hero. Flattery really goes a long way with the two of you, doesn't it? Waiting for you to come back. I didn't want to believe your ravings back in the woods, but this is next to incontrovertible evidence. You've been here before.
That's right, villain, and you killed us.
Well, she killed us.
Only because he made us try and kill her. It was self-defense. Our beloved's hands remain unstained by cruelty.
And you've died before. So an entire world has been damned to oblivion. I'd really hoped I'd be the first, but what's done is done. What matters is you have a chance to do it right this time. Now, hold on. If she actually ended a world, are you sure we want to do this? Are you sure we want to rescue her?
?ナイフを持ってきたい。
I'm okay with whatever you come up with. You can cut my arm off again.
We won't be laying a finger on her perfect wrists, and indeed, we won't even have to. Do you see how dainty her hands are? We'll be able to slip her right out with no harm
気
done.
持ち鎖が小さくなってるんですよね。
No, she's a
手の
prisoner.
鎖が。
You can't just slip her hand through the chains. Why are you two arguing over the logistics of slipping her hand out of her shackles? She just said she'd be okay with any idea we came up with. Am I the only one here who thinks that's weird? She didn't care last time. Why should she care this time? That's our stoic, smiling angel. No, you're right. It's extremely bizarre behavior and further evidence that she's a monster who's not to be trusted. So go ahead and slay her.
じゃあどうなった？
You died, and now we're talking.
You died! 世界は終わったのか？君が世界を終わらせたのか？
I don't know. Was I supposed to have ended the world? Would that have made you happy?
Isn't that just like our darling princess? She wants to make us happy. My heart melts
若干なんか
further with every word that
プリンセ
passes
ス
through
の
her
なんか
beautiful lips.
受け答えが
Listening to her, that's a confession.
ふわふわしている。
Then I didn't end the world.
See? She didn't confess anything. She is innocence itself. I'm not so sure.
一応、これだけ。これだ、
Another
トタン
version
だ
of。me was pushed to such drastic action. It was for good reason.
That's okay. You were just doing your best, and that's all that matters.
She took that in stride. To a surprising extent. An almost unsettling extent, actually. That's because she's perfect. Do you think she has someone like him telling her what to do? She doesn't. There's no one else like me. I think he's right, because I like it better if she doesn't have some horrid little voice like him, always trying to drive her to violence.
じゃあプリンセス、作っちゃいますか。でもこれ気になるな。
I'm sorry. Didn't you want me to?
嫌だったかしら？
We warned her of the cruel forces seizing our body. That's practically telling her to
まあ
kill
なんか
us.
急所じゃないところをあえてなんか
She
走り続けられて長く苦しんだのは大体の人間は嫌だと言うと思いますよ。
She made the best decision for her. Don't be so quick to assign kindness. You're just opening yourself up to manipulation.
プリンセス作っちゃいますか。
No, I can't let you do that. If you take another step towards the princess, I'll... You're what?
ナレター
Take
さん
over
が
our body and force us to try
ナ
and
レター
kill
力
her.
を使おうとして
I
る。
would if you had a weapon. Not on my watch, villain. My passions contain titanic depths, and if you try anything that might harm our dearest, I will end our life without a second thought. You wouldn't. I would. I'd listen to him if I were you. He has a lot of strong feelings. And doesn't the world end if we don't stop her?
あ、スルッと抜
Approach
け
the
る。
princess and gingerly slide her hand from her bindings. That shouldn't have worked. I'll be damned. We're doomed. I can't believe it. But I guess I have to. I told you. There's no life more worth living than that of a
これはラブストーリー。
believer.
I'm free, and you're not trying to kill me this time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The princess jumps up and smothers you in a joyful embrace. Ugh. If only you had a weapon, one slip of the wrist and your pristine blade would be buried in her back, and everyone out there would be saved. Luckily for Mr. Romance, we don't have a weapon. Who needs a weapon when we have the power of love on our side?
ニッコニコ
What
で
do
す
you
よ。
know?
君はどう
Let
したい
me guess. End the world? Spoken with the rank cynicism of someone who has never felt love in his heart.
I don't actually know. Nobody's ever asked me what I wanted before.
She doesn't even know what she wants. You may have had her all wrong. What if this whole thing is just a misunderstanding? What if she doesn't want to end the world? You're so gullible. Is the only thing you've ever doubted the actual truth?
I think I want to leave. And I think...
あら
The princess closes her eyes in deep reflection, and then she shrugs.
よろしく
I don't know. What do you want to do?
Are you
what I say.
seriously asking her that?
終わらせたくない。言ってくれましたね。
I just want to make you happy.
あんたを幸せにしたいだけ。じゃあどうしたら、幸せを感じる？
I just want to make you happy.
なんか絵がだんだん BGM だんだん不穏になってますよ。
Okay,
Ah.
I'll find something else to want if
Ah.
that makes you happy. I just want to make you happy.
Is it
Oh.
just me, or does it feel like we're alone right now? Like we're the only ones here?
あ
No. She was our perfect match. She's gone. Where did she go? Should we try and find her? And is that a mirror? Why is it here? Why now? But it feels so bad. Like looking into it right now is going to be the end of everything. Yes. I fear that we won't like what we'll see. What if we just sit here and preen for a while? That can't hurt, right?
終わったりはしない。向こう側で何か持ち構えてようがきっと大丈夫。
Okay. If you say so. We'll trust you. She'll be there waiting for us. I just know it.
鏡に近づく。自分の姿を見つめる。彼らはいなくなった。鏡はいつも彼らを追い払う。まだそこに何が映っているかを見る必要がある。あなたは膨れ上がっている。自分も再び永遠のうつろにいると気づく。親へ向かう。あ、君は小屋にいる。彼女に近づく。
Flickering lights in empty cityscapes become pockets of vitality and movement. I am more than I was before. Whenever you are ready, I will wipe your slate clean once again. I will long for your return, but it will give me time to reflect
ま
on
た
what I
難しい
am.
ゾーン来た。あつきさん、これか、ありがとうございます。あまたチャプター1に戻った。彼女に分解された分を持ってくる。
You're on a path in the woods. You're here to...
やったぜ、王族殺し。一応やってみたかったんだ。これぞ革命だ。
That's the
早かったですね。
spirit.
その息だ。
You make your way up the short path to the cabin. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a prince. Ignore him.
今度は殺そうとしつつも、ナイフを持っていって、ナイフ
The
を使わない
interior
っ
of
て
the
いう
cabin is almost entirely
パターン
bare.
にしてみますか。
The air is the blade is your implement. You take the blade from the table. door to the basement creaks open, her voice.
Who's there?
あ、なんか
She sounds dangerous.
ナイフ持っていった時点で
It's
ちょ
almost
っ
as
と
if she's the one in
声が
charge
おこ
down
です
here.
ね。
Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation.
Don't be a stranger. It's been so long since I've had any visitors. Come on down.
Come on down.
You walk down the stairs
簡単じゃない
and
プリン
lock
セス。
eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's so coldly beautiful.
Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something?
Eh, まさか
That giant knife you're holding kind of gives it away, doesn't it?
The blade. Of course she doesn't want to talk. Who'd want to have a conversation at knife point?
投げせよ
You。should drop it. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really is a monster, but killing someone in cold blood isn't very becoming of us.
捨てます。
The blade tumbles out of your trembling hands and drops to the floor with an unceremonious clang.
Thank you. Maybe now we can just talk.
Against your better judgment, you step forward to speak with the princess face to face,
あれごして。
unarmed. We don't know what you're
はい、
hoping
しよう
to
と思いました。
accomplish here, but I can assure you there's no reasoning with her.
吉野君、きっと大丈夫。
So here we are. What an awkward start to a relationship.
どなたがここにいる
Too long.
?Too long.
Note the lack of detail. You can't trust her.
I know. I just said that. Now why are you here to kill me? And yet you hesitated the moment you saw me. And you dropped your knife. If killing me was really that important, you'd have a little more gumption, don't you think?
初期のプリンセスはなんかちょっと拗ねてます
Someone put
ね。
you up to this, right? And whoever it is, it's probably the same someone who shoved me into this dark pit and chained me to a wall.
That's a fair question. Who chained her in this basement, and if she's so dangerous, how did they manage to trap her? And why have we been left to do their dirty work? Don't give away the game, and don't let her distract you. That's exactly what she wants.
I'm right.
このゲームの最終
So
的
who put you
な
up to this?
着地点が今のところわからないのが難しいところですね。みんな名前は
She hesitates before answering.
You can address me as your Royal Highness, or Her Majesty. Any honorific should do, really.
Again, she offers no specifics. No matter how hard you try, you'll never get a straight answer out of her.
教えてくれないと。だったらここから連れ出せる
Can't. Don't bother.
I'm guessing you don't have the key then.
そうですね、プリンセス
I'm
生き
sure
たい
there's
ゲー
a
ムにな
key
ってますね。
somewhere around here, and if there isn't, well, we can always put that knife to good use.
Her sharp eyes settle on the edge of the blade. She isn't suggesting what I think she's suggesting, right? She is. I'm sure of it.
Do you?
Do you?
I see. The silent treatment. You know, if you don't share with me, well, I'm not going to share with you.
あ、おしゃべりで十分だ。
Have you decided what to do with me?
You
What's the
know
name?
why you're here.
二人を調べる。
Oh, you have to be kidding me.
キデミ出た。
You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
If you don't have the key, maybe you should go looking for it. I'm sure it's somewhere upstairs.
Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains.
最後の概念的な話を全然頭に入ってこないですよね。概念すぎて。
That would be fine. I can lose an arm.
She speaks with almost complete nonchalance. If we were stuck down here for long enough, I'm sure we'd be nonchalant about cutting our way out. Anything to finally be free.
する的な。
You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs is
上が
open.
閉められるよ。
You try the door. You're here. Your shout, I'll repeat.
やっぱり閉じ込められ
You
る。
make your way back to the bottom. Easier for everyone.
I heard the door slam. The knife. Pick it up and cut me out of here.
You won't like what happens if you do.
お、
Against your better
あ、ここは変わらないんだ。
you place the blade against the princess's arm. You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp and you make quick work of it. Before long, you're able to crack through bone, and she pulls the... She didn't so much as utter a sound. Free from her bindings, the princess turns to face you. How is she so composed after losing an arm?
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
あ、でもこうなんか
No, we won't have any of that.
ちょっと違いましたね。
The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. No, I just can't let her escape into the world.
あ、
As the
そして
princess approaches the
ナレー
bottom
ターが
stair, your body
操作
steps
するモード
forward
だ。
and raises the blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't watch me.
あっちも
Stop that.
I thought this was a little too easy.
ちょっと感じ。
Your body lunges forward to sink the blade into her back, but stop it. The blade. Move the blade.
You're doing your best to help me, aren't you? I can see the conflict in your eyes. I'll make this quick.
She steps forward and pries the blade from your rigid hands.
Maybe I'll see you in another life.
あ
Then she slits your throat with an almost
あ、
clinical.
ここもなんか細かに違うんですね。
Her face remains unchanged as she watches you collapse to the ground, blood flowing from your butchered neck. This is the end, isn't it? I'm afraid it is. Everything goes dark, and you die. I hope it was worth.
わけでします。囚人。あ、変わりましたね、完全に。
You're on a path in the wood. You're here to slay. A terrible scent. Don't forget, I'm inclined to. You know, and as far as. We could go back. Those are two. Let's. If you're back, the absolute irony.
疑心暗鬼の声になった。
Well, that's one way to put it, I guess. You really don't remember what happened last time, do you? You practically forced the princess. That doesn't sound like the sort of thing I'd do.
みんな
Which is
3
honestly
人
all the more reason for you to not buy into whatever self-delusions the three of you are crafting.
操作されて
But
る。
this is a thought experiment, so I suppose I'll continue to give you the benefit
思考
of the
実験。
doubt. If I did practically force the princess to kill you, it was probably for a good reason. Did you try and free her? Did you say something really mean to me? Because if I really did what you said I did, you probably deserved it. I'm a professional, after all. Anyway, I believe your second question was, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. You forced the princess to kill us and now everyone's right back where... Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you...
戻ってきたというのも答えられない。
Did
また、
time simply, if it's
同
the
じですね。
latter,
これ
do
も
you
同じ
think
で
the
すね。
people there lived happily ever after? Or what a conveniently ambiguous group of things for her to ruin. For all we know, the princess... Oh, how I wish that were the case. But if the princess weren't a certain inevitable threat to the world, the four of us wouldn't... You're talking in circle. No, I'm talking in... Just be quick. People locked her in. Look. Oh, of course. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
We're here because we're special. Look, you're annoyed that you're... Great.
以上だ。
You have already committed to my completion. You cannot go further astray.
プリンセスの計画なの？
A warning. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Yes, don't believe a word she says. Just go in, take the knife, and do what you're supposed to. Wink.
Wink?
No, I didn't. Wink. Just ignore this clown and focus on the princess. The interior of the cabin is less a cozy woodland
ダンジョン
retreat
という感じ。
and more like a dungeon. A few pathetic wisps of
ここも
starlight
ちょっ
attempt
と
to
変わっ
illuminate
て
the
るかな。
cold, uninviting stone walls and thick, wrought iron bars barricade the window. The only furniture of note is an iron table, bolted to the floor, a pristine blade perched. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. He definitely did not. There isn't a mirror. There's definite... There isn't. I think you know. Exactly. Very different. Yes, but why? Did he change it? Or did it change all on its own? Now isn't that a novel thought? Maybe you haven't actually been here before. I hope this means you'll finally drop your attention. So focus up.
鏡に近づく。
You walk up to the wall next to the... This really is...
拭いてきれいにする。
Reach forward
や
and
っぱダ
rub
メ。
your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous... It was there a second ago. And now it's gone. If he doesn't want us to know about it, it must be important. We should keep our eyes peeled. Maybe it'll be back.
で、刃物を一応持って
You
いき
take
ま
the
す。
blade from the table. It will be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a... Good idea. Much better to be armed.
で、また、殺そうと見せかけて
The door
殺さ
to
な
the
い。
basement creaks open,
押して
revealing
ますね。
an old stone staircase. Her voice, harsh but controlled.
Is that a visitor I hear? Please, come downstairs.
ちょっと切れ気味ですね。なんか、色合い的にも。
Does she remember us? You walk
あら
down
ら
the
らら
stairs
ら
and
ら
lock eyes with the princess. She looks up at you, the heavy collar around her neck clanking loudly as she moves. The chains binding both her wrists to the far wall, joining the metallic chorus as she adjusts her hands in her lap. So much for cutting her out of here. Do you hear yourself right now? Cutting her out of here never should have been on the table. Have you noticed the empty chain on the wall? Odd that in a place where everything seems to serve a distinct purpose, there would be something so obviously useless.
That was there last time too, wasn't it?
It was.
What an interesting development. Why don't you have a seat? The two of us should chat before you bury that thing in my heart.
You step towards the princess,
ああ、
but she stops you before you get too close, holding up one shackled hand.
There's fine. I'd prefer we keep some distance until we've sorted this out.
That's reasonable. We do have a weapon. Might as well put her at ease.
まあ、指示された場所に去っておきましょう。
You do as she asks and sit on the floor, still a good distance away from her.
Thank you. Now, what are your intentions for me? Oh, are we talking about that?
覚えちゃうの。
I thought we weren't going to give away the game.
プ
But
リンセスは
sure,
覚えてるんですね
I'll。fill you in. Nothing happened. You died, I went upstairs.
うん
I couldn't leave.
う
I
ん
found myself in a new place in chains again. More of them. And now you're back.
Is that really all she knows?
It's not like we have much of a clue about how things work.
なるほど。
And she's probably even more in the dark than we
なん
are.
か世界の強制
You're
力が
looking
働
at
いてるん
me
です
like I
ね。
might be hiding something. I'm not.
I guess it's possible she really doesn't know anything. Maybe both of us are stuck in this loop without any idea why or how.
I guess what you said back in the woods really was true. As much as I would like to remain in denial, it's no use. This has complicated things.
It's complicated things how, exactly?
Ideally, this was supposed to be one and done. You go to the cabin, you heroically slay the princess, and in the process you save the entire world from being damned to oblivion. The situation right now, where you're getting a second shot at things, is a contingency.
A contingency for what?
For you failing, obviously. And you being here means that things are going to be a lot harder than they were. I really shouldn't say anything else, I'm just going to make it worse. Just good luck.
Now hold on, if you knew this could happen, why didn't you believe us back in the woods? Why lay out all those hypotheticals? We didn't have to talk in circles.
I needed you to believe this was your first time here, even if that wasn't the truth. I hoped if I pushed back hard enough I could cram this
あ
seepy
ナレーターは
mess
やっぱ
back
り
into the
信じ
bottle.
てたんだ。
And
あ、知ってたんだ。
maybe I wanted to be the first version of me that you met. I didn't want to be confronted by the alternative.
That's pathetic.
I never said I wasn't. I get it. It would be pretty upsetting, wouldn't it? To know that you might not be the first version of yourself.
あ、違うか。
At least we can remember what happened before. Seems like we should count
だんだん
ourselves
話
lucky
が
for that.
複雑になってきた。
Exactly. He gets it. You're lucky. So don't waste that luck by messing it up again. All right?
Moving on. Why is it important for us to be ignorant? How is it ever helpful to be in the dark?
The more I say, the more your mind will swim into dangerous waters. Even saying that is too much. Your success hinges on you having imperfect information. For the sake of the entire world, you need to accept that.
I won't.
Just give it a rest. This isn't helping.
Focus. This is a serious situation. You shouldn't be daydreaming. I don't know, but you could always try it on. Maybe it'll fit.
I hope I don't actually have to say this, but please don't lock yourself in chains. We need you ambulatory if you're going to save the world.
僕何をしてほしいんだ。
Let me borrow that knife. Don't worry, you'll get it back.
That's ominous.
But she seems confident. Whatever it is she has planned, I think she knows what she...
Oh, please, she's just putting on an act to disarm you. That much should be obvious. In case you need to hear a voice of reason, it would obviously be unwise to give away your only weapon.
Though if she isn't bluffing, whatever she has planned might be for her benefit alone. There's no guarantee that what's good for her is good for us.
So, what should we do?
I don't know. I'm just spelling out our options, listing the pros and cons.
Then let me help you. I'll start with the cons. If you're handing her your weapon, the cons are that she might use it to escape and end the entire world. And she might use it to kill you. That doesn't sound great. What about the pros? There are none.
The pros are that we can't trust him, possibly even more than we can't trust her. Whatever she has planned could do something to mess with what he has planned.
会話に参加しないけども、主人公が彼として数えられておりますね。オプションがめちゃくちゃいっぱいある。法則具を調べる。
I wouldn't do that if I were you. And why is that? Do I even need to explain myself? It's a shackle, and it's one without a key. Do you want to be stuck here like she is? And what? Is it going to lock the second we put our wrist into it? I don't know.
法則はなんか、プリンセスじゃなくてんだ。
That's all the reason we need to But what if he's telling the truth? He isn't. I am.
調べる。
Against your better judgment, you approach the chain dangling from the far wall. The princess watches you with faux disinterest as you inspect it, though she can't fully hide her curiosity. I don't want to say what I'm supposed to say next. What is that supposed to mean? It sounds bad. Is it bad? Yes,
BGM が決まる。
it's bad. Come out and say it then. You're just wasting time. Fine. As you hoist the shackle, its heft shifts within your grasp, as if pulled by some odd magnetism. Before you can so much as blink, it practically leaps from your hands, snapping around your neck. And, as if your situation weren't bad enough, the same magnetism repels your blade, which is flung from your hand and sent skittering across the floor of the basement. Excuse me?
Excuse me?
Are we stuck here now? Yes.
So it does fit. And I guess it doesn't like your knife. We're stuck here together, aren't we? That's funny.
What are we supposed to do now? Can't even cut ourselves out. Guess we'll starve. That's horrible. It's not all bad. We learned a valuable piece of information. Not to touch things we're specifically told not to touch? No, that there's something special about this loose chain. It's clearly important.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
That's rude.
あいつないですね、確かに。
You and the princess wait in silence, though neither of you knows what you're waiting for. But you're waiting for something. This is so boring. There must be something we can do to get out of here. There must be something we're missing. But there isn't.
あ、無慈悲、ナレーターが。
Passes. It passes and passes and passes. And the basement of the cabin remains much the same. It is cold and silent. At least the world is safe. It isn't. You're stuck. Too far away from both the princess and your blade to do much of anything. But she's not ending anything. She's just sitting there. Her very existence is a threat. It harms everything around it. How exactly does that work? It just does. But your line of questioning is interrupted by the passage of even more time. And after that, even more time passes again. And let me guess, the cabin remains the same. If time is passing, the cabin can't be the same. Even if the differences are small, they have to exist. That's just how things work. I suppose you're correct. Things are changing. The differences are small at first, a bit of weathering here, a bit of erosion there. But then...
I don't like small talk.
聞いてないよ。
Still rude.
無言でます。あ、確かに崩れてきてる。
You continue to wait in silence, and the cabin continues to change. The decay comes faster now. You can see earth through holes in the stonework, can watch lichen spread along the seams of the walls. That doesn't make sense. Has our entire concept of time changed? What happened to starving? We should have died by now if the rocks around us are starting to erode. She hasn't starved. I guess she hasn't. Even more silent time passes as you watch roots push themselves through the increasingly porous walls of the basement. Dirt seeps inside, flowing across the stone floor like a liquid, covering the ground and threatening to swallow you both. Time continues to pass, and pass, and pass.
And pass.
Until suddenly, There are no walls.
空だ。
And
And?
I think he's gone.
Would you look at that? We made it out of the cabin, and nothing bad had to happen to either of us. So this is the outside world. It's cold.
あ、回収された。確かにすることはできない。これからもずっとそろそろここを去るときだ。記憶が戻る。
She's gone. Where did she go? Should we try and find her? And there's that mirror again. Why is it here? Why now?
怖がるのは無理もない。君にとって終わりを意味するから。でも僕にとってはそうじゃない。
What is that supposed to mean? Whatever awful thing I felt before, it feels so much worse now. No, that can't be right. There has to be something more.
鏡に近づき、自分の姿を見つめる。再び彼らはいなくなった。あなたは干からびている。奇跡解除。自分が再び永遠のうつろにいると気づく。君は小屋にいる。近づく。
I am a growing chorus of contradiction, a mass of tides ebbing and flowing all at once in more directions than my attention can bear to hold. To look at any one is to shift them all into something new, and to look away is to reshape them yet again. All of me is changing, and yet the rest of me is still the same. As easily as you can stand to be you, you are like me, even if you have chosen not to look at the corners of you that do not fit, even if you have chosen to ignore the brilliant contours of your soul.
君の言うことは全て謎々に聞こえる。君には率直な答えをくれないか？
I'm sorry. Words are difficult for me. They never fully weave what I wish to say. If you
わ
do
かん
not
ないなら
find
質問するんだ
answers,
って言われちゃった。
then you need not ask me questions. The vessels you choose to bring me carry far more meaning than anything words could say in the spaces between. And yet my waters flow and my streets bustle. There are no words that can describe me into non-existence. There is no logic that can bind my multitudes. I am everything that you have known me to be, but I am also none of it.
この器のことをどう思う？
This
この
one is
プリンセス、
determined, but also cautious. One that would rather let the world move around her
Oh.
than move it herself. She will make for a patient heart. Do not mourn her. She is exactly where she needs to be.
これが終わったら、つまり君がやることを終えたら、僕は君を殺すつもりだ。分かってるよね。
If that remains your choice when all is said and done, then you may try. But know that I do not wish you harm, even if you attempt to
被害
destroy
を
me.
加えたくない。世間で僕に何を
Gifts aren't what someone tells you to bring them. My joy is in seeing what you choose. There are no wrong answers, and every perspective illuminates my shadows.
この
and
点
tells
謎
me
で
the
すよね。
secrets.
一番最初はなんか、プリンセスが変形しまくった姿でしたけど、何回あそこへ戻っても同じことを繰り返す。僕たちのどちらかは必ず痛めつけられる。君に変化は起こらないのか？何か悪い影響は受けないのか？
It changes me, but it doesn't make me worse, nor does it make me care for you any less. Does it make you worse? Do you resent me?
苦しみ
You are what brings me meaning.
旅の
Know that
苦し
the
みや
pain
が
of
て和らぐだろ
returning
う。
will subside in due
おう
time. But you still have a ways to go before we are done.
僕が世界を見せてた
My
ら
perspectives are shadowed. You have seen what I have seen, just as I have seen what you have seen. The angles of my vantage do not offer me hidden truths, and my attention is turned inward, except when you are here with me. Perhaps this will change when our work is done.
あといくつツアーを持ってくればいいんだ。
We will know when we near our destination.
自分は、どう変化したいとか成長したいとかいった希望はあるのか。
The tides do not dictate where they are pulled. A river does not dictate its outlets. My gift to you is to let you choose your path, and my task is to treasure the gifts you bring me.
攻撃する。自分自身を滅ぼす。やったことないのでやってみますか。こんな感じじゃない。目の前にあるたくさんの手のうち一つが伸びてきて、
There's nowhere for you to
ちょっ
be
と方に
but
触れる。
here.
目の前の攻撃が存在する。何も起こらない。
My roots burrow in an ocean beyond your sight. We cannot harm each other as we are now.
アストラルボディってことをね。
I will be here when it is time for us to meet again.
腕が暗くなり決める。彼女に囚人を持ってくる。
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path,
ちょっとセ
you're here to slay her.
ーブをしまして、今日は今回このゲーム1回で終わりそうな雰囲気ではないので、今日はこの辺りにしていきたいと思います。ちょっと雑談して終わりましょうか。自分がでかい。そして、たびたびすいません。お手洗いできますね。ちょっとお腹空いてるのを我慢するため、麦茶をガブ飲みしたら、ピッチが。よいしょ。ものすごいトイレが近くなっちゃいました。ゲームを一旦落としちゃおう。終了。そして、注意文と、ステルス。いきます。 すいません、戻りました。よいしょよいしょ。プレス解除。して、随分あった。随分これ色つけてないの。この設定。あ、お帰りなさい。ありがとうございます。うん。実は今回のゲーム、あれなんですよね。日本語化する前に、OA も含め、の心も含めて、ずっと前に買ってたんですけども、なかなか、難しいゲームですね。もう圧倒的に好評っていうところがあるので、多分こっからまだ2点3点してくる雰囲気はありますね。あ、おかえりなさい。ありがとうございます。そして、三田助先生もおかえりなさい。ありがとうございます。まず普通に、倒そうとしても、プリンセス強すぎ問題があるので、倒せないですからね、どうしたもんやらって感じですが。そうですね。日本語作るの結構かかりましたね。でも、本当ついてくれただけありがたいです。2023年10月23日発売だから約1年ぐらいかけて、1年で、ついたわけですね。そう。この日本語対応してくれるだけでも本当嬉しい。確かに大体主人公の方が失礼されてましたね。これを英語で、やるとなると、相当、きついゲームですね。母国語が英語じゃないと、多分無理。最初拳で解決するのも見たとき言われちゃった。めっちゃ強かったですからね。しかもなんか全身の骨バキバキにされたらしいですから。あと、あれですね。全く話さない、会話に入ってこない、主人公、他の人からは彼と呼ばれていますけど、その彼だけがなんかすごく謎ですね、今のところ。いや、謎はいっぱいあるんですけど、一応ゲーム的には様々なプリンセスを育てて彼女に囚人を持ってくるとか、彼女に 分解された乙女を持ってくるとか、なんかそういう、なんだっけ、実績が解除されてくるので、それがヒントにはなってると思うんですけども。うん。そうですね。謎が謎を呼ぶ。これはまたやります。今回のだけだと、なかなかね、消化不良だと思うので。うん。そう。確かに、育成恋愛シミュレーション。なんか、新しい形ですね。育成し終わったら、自分が死ねっていう。ああ。しかしあれですね。今とりあえずお腹がすごい空きました。今日朝食べてからね、そういえば何も食べてなかったですからね。しかも朝食べて、ちょっと森の業務しまして、でその後、配信始まるまでちょっと寝てたんですよ。うん。ですね。繰り返すたび何かが、蓄積している感じはありますよね。うん。続きありがとうございます。続きはぜひお買い求めていただいたパターンじゃない。今回は、消化不良感が強いので、一応の、終わりのところまでやってみたいと思います。というか、まあ、発売して1年経ってるゲームだから、まあいいだろうっていう、日本語ついたのは24日なんですけどね。まあまあいいでしょうっていうところがあります。しっかり食べて、ちゃんと食べて、ありがとうございます。いっぱい食べてって。食べます。でもあれなんですよね。今、なんやかんやでちょっと現金が財布の中に200円入ってなくて、とりあえず、後でで、米を買うじゃないや。米を炊こうとは思うんですけども、うん。炊き込みご飯にするか、普通の白米にするか、白米にして、納豆はあるんですよ、いっぱい。5個ぐらい。納豆を食べようか、卵かけご飯にしようか、とか、迷いどころさんです。そうです、ギリギリなんです。お財布具合が。200円、なかなか人生でないですね。200円入ってないっていうのは。あとは、どんぐり決済で何とかしてますからね。どんぐり決済で、ちょっと、地元のコンビニで買うっていうのも手ではあるんですけれども、後々痛い目を見るので、なるべくなら今手元にある食材を全部消費してしまいましょうという状況です。うん。あ、そうだ。忘れた。まだ、増減あるかもしれないんですけれども、自分の配信。あれ大丈夫かな ?OK。皆様のおかげで、1200人、まで達成しました。ありがとうございます。なんか地味にこう、1100から1200が長かったなっていう、うん、印象ですね。1200人おめでとうございます。ありがとうございます。うん。これもね、いつも皆さんのチャンネル登録、高評価していただいている方々のおかげであります。本当にありがとうございます。うん、配信回数少ないのにね。いつ言おうかなってなってました。皆さんパチパチや、 おめでとうございます。など、ありがとうございます。本当にありがとうございます。ただまあなんか次記念やるとしたら、まあ、かなり遠いけど、1500人とか行った時に何かやりたいなとは思ってますね。耐久系じゃない何かを。でも何があるかな。何をしたらいいかなっていうのは常に迷いどころですね。みんな、皆さんあれですからね。周年とか、あとは何々記念とかで、出てくるものといえば、歌みたや、あとは、新衣装など、そういったものが多いイメージですからね。メンバーバッジもバッジらしくはい。ちょっと編集させていただきました。加入期間による、変化っていうのは、まではちょっと手が回せなかったんですけども、一応、メンバーバッジを、鹿金マークにさせていただきました。なんか、初期アイコンを見るたび、さすがにないなってずっと思ってたので、これも、達成できてよかったですね。あとあれだ。ファクトリーを最近やれてないわけなんですけども、とうとう来ちゃったんですよ、ファクトリーを。スペースエイジっていう超大型 DLC が。なんか、ロケット打ち上げっていう、なんか、一旦メインストーリー的なところが終わった後の話になるので、今すぐ導入しなくてもまあいいんですけども、そう来ちゃったんですよ。4000円もするんですよね、しかも。DLC で4000円ってめちゃくちゃ強気。なのにもかかわらず、圧倒的好評なんですよ。もうね、やりたい。ボーナーさん、旅行者かつ、メッセージありがとうございます。工場長になるときが来ましたね。そうですね。工場長も、ちゃんと進めていかないとダメですね。工場長、そして、スペースエイジもそうですけども、サティスファクトリーも一生積んでますからね。確かに。前回何してたか思い出すところからですよ、工場長。本当にそう。でもロケットを打ち出すとかはなんかやろうと思えば多分次の配信枠以内で配信とかでやれそうだとは思うんですよね。スパイダートロンとかそういう研究をガンガンそういうのを無視してしまえば。あとは核を無視しちゃえば。サティスファクトリーはいいぞ。楽しそうなんですよね。あれもぜひ、マルチで、やってみたいところではあります。本格的お腹空いてきちゃった。お腹の紛らわすために麦茶飲んでるんですけども、ほとんどなくなってちゃいます。入れたばっかなのに、ほぼなくなっちゃいましたからね。ご飯炊くのも1時間ぐらいかかりますからね。確かに、生産ラインの整備とかで1回費やしそうっていうのは大幅にあり得ます。あと、結構、あれですね。原住民さんたちが、襲いかかってくることが多いので、その対策だけで1枠潰すっていうのも重々あり得ますね。なんか、 スペースエイジに追いつかれないように頑張ろうって決めてたんですけども、追いつかれてしまった以上、追いつかれたっていうか、自分が、うさぎと神の、うさぎ気分で、もうすやすやですよ。もうダッシュして、余裕あるなって思って、っていうか前回のサティスファクト、違う。ファクトリーをいつでしたっけ？2ヶ月前ですもんね。そりゃそうだわ。前回のサティスファクトリーが、8月。ほぼ3ヶ月前ですね。8月8日。で、その前が、8月なの、これはなんかあれか、連続してやったのか。でもその前が、連続してはやったけども、その前が、前回7ヶ月前っていう。そりゃ、そうなるわ。そりゃ、遅れ、間に合わなくもなりますわ。うん。そうですね。拠点近くに湧くようになっちゃったので、その対策をしたいっていうのがあります。喉飴舐めますね。喉の、保護と、あと、お腹空いたので。お腹空いた飴舐めるって、節子ぐらいしか思い浮かばないですよ。うん。うん。てか、やりたいゲームはね、本当どんどん積み重なっていくんですよね。しかも今、体験版フェスみたいなのも来てますし。大変なことですよ。そうだ、なんか、日本語対応と、スレイザー、プリンセスの話に戻るんですけども、日本語対応とともに大型アップデートがあったんですよね。ちょっとその大型アップデートについて、ちょっと調べちゃおう。うん。デモ版祭り、ほんとそうなんですよ。デモ版落とすだけ落としてやらないってことも結構ありますからね。結構っていうかほとんどですね。君が一生減らないので、本当に。ちょっと、気楽にやっていきたいですね。そして、ポンサカチュンさん、メンバー、これなんて言うんでしたっけ訪問者の特権、旅行者の特権の、まだまだたくさん遊びますな。ありがとうございます。どんどん、面白そうなものが次々出てきますし、そして自分はなんか、一つがなかなか長いゲームをやりますからね。うん。なるほど。なんか、大型アップデート、マイルストーンちょっと、ありがとうございます。できる限り覚えます。最近、前頭葉が萎縮してんのかってレベルで、マジで、物覚えが悪い、本当に。あと、新しいことへの興味が薄くなってしまっているので、頑張って思います。マイルストーンチャット。マイルストーンチャット。うん。そして、今回始めた、スレイザープリンセス、10月24日に日本語対応とともに、アップデートは、大型アップデートがありまして、 ゲームが約 35% 拡張、何千もの新しいボイスライン、1000を超える新しいイラスト、17トラックの新しい音楽、そして、まだまだ新しいプリンセス登場するよっていう、ちょっとあんまりこれを見ると、プレステ4と5、スイッチ、Xbox でも発売する。すごい。うん。面白いですね。1000を超える新しいイラストですね。すいません、滑舌がふやふやで。そう、新しい、君の手で見つけてみよう、新しいプリンセス。というわけで、多分自分がちょこっと、もう何枠かやったぐらいじゃ、食べ尽くせないゲームだってことが、判明しましたので、今回は、せめてスタッフロール行くまではやります。うん。でも、1個スタッフロールまで行ったら、あとは、いつもの、あとは皆様の、手で、確かめてくれっていうパターンになるかもしれませんね。最強のプリンセスは誰だ？結構みんな強いですからね。今んとこ一番強かった印象があるのは、1周目3人目のプリンセス。一瞬で肉塊にされましたからね。なんか分解もされて。うん。あれは強かった。うん。プリンセスバトルは、ワンチャンあるかもしれない。さらに、420を超えるロック解除の進行状況を記録し、プリンセスとの最高の過去及び最悪の思い出を呼び起こすのに役立つ、奥深く、インタラクティブなギャラリーが追加されます。おう。拳振ってくるプリンセス強かったですもんね。印象がなかなか拳使ってくるだけあって、いいパンチの効いたプリンセスですもんね。しかもそれで、全身の骨バラバラにしてくるっていう。だからなんか主人公たる彼も、やたらタフな分、うん。苦しい思いをし続けちゃいましたね。なんか、一撃目が肺に、ナイフで傷つけられたんですけども、肺を傷つけられると、うまく呼吸ができなくて、すごい苦しむんですよ。ただ、苦しんで長く苦しんで死ぬんですよね。うん。うまく呼吸ができない。あとはなんか、ちょっと窒息にも似たような、半窒息って言っていいのかな。そういう苦しみを受けながらも、何度も立ち向かっていくハレ君ですが、ハレ君の正体、ぴっちりした顔もまだ見れてないですからね。全部なんか、ただれているとか、干からびているとか、最後は、ちゃんと自分、ハレ君の顔も、見えるのも楽しみにしてます。確かにパチは聞いた。そうですね。かなり、印象強かったですからね。見た上で自分で引きちぎるプリンセス、精神的に強い。あれはなんか、精神的っていうか、もはやもう化け物レベルでしたよね。 さて、では雑談もこの辺りにして、ご飯の用意をしていきましょうかね。もう少しで日が、てっぺんいっちゃいますし。カリ君、鳥系イケメンの可能性。なんか、小鳥ちゃんって言われてましたのと、本当になんか、羽が待ってましたからね。あと、爪とかも、確かに言われてみれば、鳥とかの爪っぽい、なんだろう、かぎ爪してましたからね。カレ君の正体、ほんと気になるところですが、なんか、急に疲れが。いや、疲れてない。疲れてないね。まだ遊ぶもんね。なんか食べて遊ぶもんね。主人公の上でいい人外感あってよかった。確かになんか、いい感じの人外感の出てましたよね。爪も腕の模様も。さて、それでは最後にお疲れ様、おつらいかなどおっしゃっていただいた方のご挨拶、させていただいて、今日は、終わりたいと思います。はい。遊ぶのはご飯食べてからね。はい。ちゃんとご飯食べます。今からだと多分、あれですね。ご飯炊くのを待ってるのが、お腹空いて、バタンキューなので、グラノーラ食べますね。ちょっとトップバリュー、森のね、森のイオンにあるトップバリュー製の、豆乳も仕入れてみたので、あとあれですね、アマゾンセールでめちゃくちゃ豆乳安くなったので、なんか2箱買ったんですけど、まだ届いてないですね。アマゾンセールはね、安いことはありがたいんですけども、到着がめちゃくちゃ、やっぱり、運送業の方から、大変ですからね。普段に比べるとどうしても時間かかってしまうっていうのが難点ではありますね。自分としてはもう、今もうすぐにでも豆乳欲しかったんですけどもまずしましょう。あとどうせ1週間ぐらいですからね。あとは、財布の中の200円満たない金額をどうしてくれようかという。何もできないかな。燃やし買うかな。というわけで、最後お疲れ様を、岡林さん、明けとらさん、小松かしおんさん、きないさん、竹丸さん、リールフさん、ポコモンタンさん、トラキちゃんさん、セールの時間かかるんですよね。大玉さん、ハギチーさん、豆乳たくさん幸せ。そう、豆乳たくさんあると、幸せな気分になります。ただなんか豆乳飲みすぎると胸が、ちょっと、豆乳イソフラボンの大豆イソフラボンの効果で、ちょっと胸が、女性的になるっていうのは、よく聞くので、ちょっと、大丈夫かなと思ってはいるんですけども。まあ、そんな1日1リットル飲むわけでもないので大丈夫でしょう。ね。あとは期待でも言いますので。千葉さんもおつらいかありがとうございます。というわけで本日、ご視聴ありがとうございました。チャンネル登録、高評価など、していただけると、力がね、嬉しいです。あとはメンバーシップもたくさんスタンプ使えるので、よろしければ、というかほとんどもうご参加いただいてるんですけども、よろしければご参加ください。毎月90円からのプランもありますので、そうなったら教えてください。わかりました。なんか、ブルンブルン、入れるようになったら、皆様に、披露しますね。まあ、入れることはないと思いますけど。 十中八九。それでは、本日もお付き合いいただきましてありがとうございました。また、突発だったり、今回は突発じゃなかったんですけども、変な時間の告知でしたけど、突発でやったりも多分すると思うので、ザックさんもおつらいがありがとうございます。突発でやったり、今回のゲームの続きだったり、もしくはまた別のゲームだったり、もしかしたらよそ様の枠にちょっとお邪魔してたりするかもしれませんが、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。それではまたどっかでお会いしましょう。お疲れ様でした。